Good afternoon, YouTube, and welcome back once again to Fat Cat Collections. And today I want to feature another product, a product that I have shared on the channel before by a different company, different brand, different seller, different manufacturer, and it is another smart home tech product. And it's the kind of product that I recommend for anybody who is somewhat tech savvy. Again, not on a grand scale or anything like that. These are very easy devices for the most part to set up and really, use and maintain, and they're fantastic. So the device I want to share with you guys today is another smart switch. And I want to show you guys, first I just kind of want to do, this is going to be a three-part series, but I decided to do a fourth video just because I wanted to kind of introduce the brand. Now, I've worked with this brand before on some of their smart home wall sockets, and these are their in-wall switches. Now, the company did originally want me to do a video showcasing the install. Because I'm not a licensed electrician, I don't know what the legal ramifications are as far as me showing you guys how to install something. I'm really careful what I show with my subscribers and to just the general public as far as installs and stuff that potentially, we live in the day and age where everybody blames everybody for everything. So generally, I just like to talk about it. And as I always state, with anything that you're not comfortable with, anything that could potentially hurt you, definitely hire a professional and seek out the help of somebody licensed and authorized to do so. Now, me personally, I take my safety in my own hands. It's my own risk. So I do all my electrical work. I'm not a licensed electrician, but what I do in my own home is my own business, as long as I'm not telling you guys how to do it, okay? I can give you guys pointers, but again, under no circumstances should you do anything like this, unless, of course, that you are a licensed electrician or you know somebody that's a licensed electrician. Again, always hire a professional. So, although this is really easy to do any of this stuff. So, this is a wall switch. They sent me 3 different variations of switch. The company, again, is called Teckin, Teckin. And let's face it, I have several brands because I have this channel and I've reviewed so many different products, and I continue to review products, and I'm very thankful that I get to review this stuff and share it with you guys. It's also great because my home is just like super just tech on steroids. I have more tech stuff than a lot of people. Now, I'm not saying there's not homes out there that have more, that have less, but I have over 100 connected devices on at pretty much any given time. Now, that does run, that you do run into problems the more devices you have. Because let's face it, when it comes to smart home tech, these devices, most residential grade routers, whether it be from like your broadband or your DSL company, or of course some of the other, depending on who you use for internet, whether it be satellite, most of these routers are not commercial grade. They're not enterprise grade. So when you start having devices, when you start to approach 30 devices, I know I've tried several different routers, and I really settled on Ubiquiti. It's a little bit harder to set up, but I have 100 devices connected, and things run pretty smooth now most of the time. So just keep that in mind. If you want to deck out your entire home, you will need more than just your standard off-the-shelf router, access point, whatever you may use. Now, mesh networks, I'm not sure. I've never used mesh networks, so they might be better. Right now, when I bought my ASUS router, my AC3200, I thought that was going to answer all the problems. Super robust. One of the top line routers they make, it started to develop problems with drop connections at like 30. So, again, I stepped up my game. I went with Ubiquiti. It's fantastic. If you have any kind of questions or comments about that, leave it in the comment section. If I can help you in any way, I'm always here to help. Drop me an email. Comment section's fine too, but my email address is listed in the description of our video. I'm always here to help you guys. So, let's talk about the devices. So what I like about smart home tech is the ability, or smart sockets, the ability to basically make any light or fixture, in some cases appliance, smart. So, for me, I really like the ability to turn on my pawns at different times a year, my front door lights different times a year. I like to be able to have that control to say, hey, I forgot to turn a light on, but I use a lot of the automation when it comes to automatically turning lights on or off. So like my outdoor lights will automatically come on with the sunrise and sunset. That's something you can set up in most of these apps. And this way you don't have to ever worry about, okay, well, I want to have this come on, before in the past I used to set like a timer. And so every several times a year, I have to change that because as we start approaching summer, it gets light, it stays lighter, later and later, and I'm constantly having to mess with it. now a lot of these smart home switches, you can just set it for dusk and dawn, and it's pretty accurate as far as turning your lights on or off, and you really don't ever have to mess with it. So pretty cool. And I am a big fan of leaving lights on most of the time at night. I like the peace of mind knowing that my home is well lit, and like I talked about in other videos, layering security. It's just one layer of security to prevent, I mean, bad things happen every day. So I like having this control. And there's going to be, again, different situations to why you might want to use different products. Now, one cool thing about smart switches is that it allows you to be able to utilize some of these beautiful fixtures you have. Now, I have several fixtures in my house that I didn't want to retrofit or change out with a traditional smart bulb. I didn't really care so much about the RGB or the red, green, blues. I really only concerned with them being on, off, or being able to dim them up or down. I like the way a lot of that track lighting looks with the cool halogen lights or the LED retrofit lights that they have nowadays with the cool stainless steel look. And so naturally, you don't always want to have, I think, at least in my opinion, you might have a beautiful chandelier that you want to keep. I don't live in a home big enough to have a big, beautiful chandelier, though hopefully someday I would not want to have, because sometimes these RGB or smart bulbs, they don't always look nice. They're not cosmetically appealing. They don't really make a lot of ones that look really cool. Like they have a lot of the antique LED lights that look very nice. They're very appealing in a lot of fixtures. They sort of look like a flame. You can dim them up and down in some cases. So you may not want to have, a big LifeX bulb or a big smart bulb in some basic looking, frosted glass appliance. So there's, again, point being, there's different switches for different purposes. So again, for my situation, there are some lights that I have on the ceiling that are like more of the traditional like globe style frosted stainless steel ringed light fixture that I have a LifeX bulb, so I can change the color, RGB, red, red, green, blue, whatever I want. I can change the color. Other ones like my track lighting in the kitchen, track lighting over my kind of dry bar. Not so much anymore now. It's more like a China bar. Those I want to have that nice halogen kind of look. So you have a couple different options here. They were nice to send me 3 of their switches. Technically 4 switches, but 3. I guess, fitments or situations. So in my house, I only have two areas where I want to use a 3-way switch, or I think it's called 2-pole. Basically, you have 2 switches for 1 fixture. So if in my case I have an upstairs light and a downstairs ceiling fixture that's on 2 switches, those I just leave on, and those I'm not going to use this for because I have LifeX bulbs in those. So you just leave those on all the time. The spot I'm going to use this switch is going to be in the garage, where I have an outdoor switch, which I have to rewire and convert because I removed the other switch. So I will actually have this being a functional smart home switch for that circuit. So basically, you can turn that light on outside. It's for my patio light. You can turn it on from inside the garage or off, or you can turn it on from inside or on or off from inside the kitchen. Sorry, 3rd cup of coffee today. All right, so and then the other situation, and that's just basically on or off. There's no dimming feature, and I don't need that because that's just basically an outdoor security light or an outdoor light. I just want it on or off. That's really about it. I don't really have a real fancy fixture where I live. They're very, the association kind of rules the roost when it comes to what you do. So those are just basic fixtures. They're more for purpose than they're not really decorative. Just basic white frosted. They hold the bulb, and that's it. So that switch right here, let me just bust that out. I didn't actually take it out of my file yet. This is the box right here, again by Teckin. And I'm just going to crack that open and show you what it looks like. Now these are, again, you're going to have your main switch on this particular one, which is going to connect to your Wi-Fi network. And the other switch, I believe, I know like back in the day when I've installed stuff like this, that was some of the old X10 protocol. One switch was the dummy. And I don't believe that both these are going to connect to your Wi-Fi. So, again, don't quote me on that. But you get 2 switches. This is what it looks like. Oops, let me turn them around here. Like so. Pretty basic. You have a status light on top, and then just your standard rocker style switch, which, not really rocker style, basically a push button switch. Rocker style, normally, when you use a rocker switch like this, you'll press the top for up and the bottom for off. This is one button, will do both. So, pretty basic. Nothing really to write home about. No logos, no nothing, which I like the fact they didn't do that. The switch plates do, however, say Teckin. Now these, I use these temporarily until I go to Lowe's or Home Depot, wherever you may live, and pick up some switch plates that match the rest of my home. So this is just a temporary thing for me. If you want to use it, you can. I think it's a little modern for me. Let's face it, you want all your switches to match. I do like the fact, I really like the fact, again, they didn't put any logos on the switch itself. Some of the other ones I have do have logos. Does it look bad? Is it a big deal? No, but I prefer things just clean. Again, not a big deal, just personal preference. So that's what you get there. You know, basically on these, you do have to have, on all these switches I'm going to share with you guys, you do have to have a neutral. So you have your ground, your load, your neutral, and of course, your switch, right? Yeah. See, that's what I'm saying. Consult the electrician. I've done it so many times, it doesn't really bother me. But that's what you're getting here on the back of the switch. A three-way switch gets a little more complicated. I haven't wired one too often, and I honestly forget how I removed the secondary switch. In my case, I wanted to put in a timer, which this is going to replace a timer that wouldn't work with a three-way circuit. So I had to basically remove one switch, put a cap in over that switch, which was in the garage, and now just use the one in the kitchen. But now I want to actually use this setup. So I will figure out how to rewire that, but that's going to be a little more complicated. It'll take me a little bit to figure out. So that's that set. The other one here they sent me is your standard single pole, which basically you have one fixture or one outlet, wherever you may put this, with one switch. Again, you have your 4 wires in the back, and you have your standard push button switch. This light will light up, I believe, on these, if I remember correctly, because I think I have one of these on another circuit, or I put one at my folks' house. I don't remember. A lot of these switches, they will light up a different color if the light is on or off. The one I installed at my folks' house, which they love for the front door, and I have control of it as well. I can actually turn it on or off remotely if they leave the house or they forget. I do have it set up on a timer, but theirs will glow red if the light is on, and then blue if the light is off, I believe. No, blue if the light is on, red if the light is off, which always confuses me because I would my mind, I kind of associate red with being off or stop, you know, like most of us do, and blue being, you know, I wish they would have made it red and green. That makes more sense. Green for on, red for off. But what they did is they made it red for on, blue for off, which I kind of get. Red, you know, hot, the circuit's hot. But again, personal preference. But some of them only light up if they're on. I have one downstairs that lights up white if the switch is on or off. So I'll have to, you know, I will do a video of these after I get them installed and just kind of show you guys what they look like installed. But nonetheless, these are great. You know, there's not always areas where you want to have, again, a smart socket, or you have a smart socket. This, you know, is a great way to convert your existing switches to smart switches. Only downside, no dimming feature, and I like all switches to be dimmable. But again, you may have this on maybe a wall switch that you have a lamp plugged into it. That might be, you know, what you're using this for. So just depends on your situation. Again, same switch plate, Teckin switch plate. And I just want to check one more thing here. Yeah, okay. All right, so the other one they sent me is their dimming switch, which this one here, which is really odd. It's completely different than the other switches. So I want to do this video, and the reason I want to do this video as a 4-part series is because this switch I really wanted to point out, and I want the company to understand that I think there should be some consistency across the board. I'm not sure if they sent me an old model. It does kind of, if I was buying this stuff, and I was, you know, again, more concerned with the cosmetics, and a lot of people are. This doesn't match the other switches. So if you want to get one switch that was going to match everything in your home, which let's face it, if a lot of people are kind of anal like that, you know, you'd want these to match. If you were to have this next to, let's say you had a switch plate that had, you know, 2 or 3 switches, and you want to say, I want to put one that's going to be for a standard wall socket, and the other one's going to be, you know, something I'm going to be dimming a fixture with. Well, you know, these aren't going to match. So side by side, it's going to look kind of goofy, like an after-the-fact thing, which where I'm putting them, it's not that big deal because I'm not putting these anywhere where there's going to be both these side by side. But I don't know if they're currently making a different model. These say SR41, 42, and then 46. Not really sure on this, but the color is also more of a matte white. it has more of a eggshell kind of color. So that's a little bit of a disappointment there. You can't tell by the video. It's probably not super, you know, it's probably not really a really big deal, but side by side, again, you may not be able to tell in the video, but side by side, there is a noticeable difference cosmetically. They look like two different brand switches. So I'm not sure if maybe they just sent me this switch, but something to think about if you are going to be buying these and you're saying, hey, I want to retrofit my house with this stuff. If you are going to be buying the dimmable version, they look completely different. And I don't mean just completely different by the addition of your status lights here, which show you the level of brightness, but different just in the entire way the switch is designed. You have a ledge around here. There's like a recession. You have a power indicator instead of this small, kind of slot-shaped LED light or slot-shaped light. So just really confusing on why this switch is so different. So just keep that in mind. Now, as far as performance on these things or what you can hook up to them, the dimmable switch is compatible with CFL lights or LED lights, up to 430 watts. The three-way setup on the box, it says incandescent lights, and again, always check the listings. Don't take my word for it. On the two-way setup, or the three-way switch, you look at incandescent lights, 400 watts, 150 watts on CFL and LED. So keep that in mind. If you have a fixture, you're installing one of these on, you're going to want to make sure that if you are using LED lights, some people have fixtures that are, you know, that they maybe want to put really bright lights in. Just keep that in mind. You can't use the same wattage as a standard incandescent light, which uses a filament, as opposed to an LED light or a fluorescent dimmable light. It has to be within that range. So keep that in mind as well. Don't be plugging a space heater into one of these outlets. Say, okay, what's convenient? I can turn my space heater on with this, or you know, or anything else that draws a coffee pot, stuff like that. It's not designed for that. It's designed for lighting and lighting to a certain point. So output on this, again, 400 watts. Consider if you are going to plug anything into this that's not a light or a bulb. Again, drop a comment to the manufacturer. Double check that. Check with an electrician, of course. But keep in mind that most circuits are very similar. So if you have a device that you want to have on a switch, that might be just a space heater. Most space heaters are well over 1,000 or over 800 watts. Most of them are like 1,200, so don't be using this as a convenient way to turn on your heater or turn on any kind of appliance that draws a lot of energy. It has to stay within the rating, so keep that in mind. That's why I always say, hire a professional if you don't know. The other one is just a single pole light switch. Again, we have the single pole, or the three-way. I'm getting confused now. We have the single pole for one switch, one outlet, or one circuit. Then we have the three-way, which is two switches, one device, whether it be an outlet or, of course, a fixture. And then the single pole dimmable switch, which, again, the dimmable setup here is different on wattage. It says 430 watts incandescent, 250 on LED or CFL. On the three-way, you have 400 watt incandescent, 150 CFL, which is odd that it is different. And of course, same specifications on the single pole, which is interesting. I don't know if maybe they sent me or they're selling something maybe as a different model. Not really sure, but it is a different switch. So just keep that in mind. So I wanted to share that with you guys. Check out Teckin. Again, I have used their products before. They are of good quality. Most of these things, honestly, guys, are really made by the same manufacturer. Again, I can't tell you which ones, but I've gotten a lot of different products. I mean, I have like 15 smart sockets that are just sitting in my drawer because I ran out of lamps and things to plug into them. So keep that in mind, guys. When you are buying something, I always kind of my situation, because of my channel, the way I review things, it's going to been an after the fact, kind of getting things, piecemealing it together. Still looks fine, still works functional, but if you are building a house, one of my buddies is building a house, he gets to pick out everything, and just when you pick something out, again, always think about what app you're going to be using, what's it compatible with, and, what kind of cosmetically, what kind of look you want. So keep that in mind. Most of these things are compatible with Smart Life, which I've talked about that app many times. These are a Smart Life compatible app, so most of these things all play well together. It is compatible with the Google Homes, the Amazon Assistants. They work great with that stuff. Keep in mind, as you start to add more devices, it's going to be very critical what you name these devices, so they are different from one another. Otherwise, your smart assistants get confused. I have 6 lamps on in this office. If I don't name them something all different for per group or per lamp, then smart devices get a little confused and don't know what you want, to turn on. You want to make it very clear. Turning on office lights, bam, they all come on, they all turn off, they all change color, they all go red, blue, whatever. If you want specifically, it's got to be something like office desk, office fireplace, and have those groups contain each one of the lights. So it gets a little confusing on setup, but it's pretty easy once you figure out, kind of the do's and don'ts, but it's pretty cool, guys. So stay tuned for each video individually where I'll talk a little bit more about the specifics right off their Amazon listing. And if you guys have any questions, I'm always here to help. Drop me a comment, drop me an email. If you like the content, as always, subscribe to the channel. And you guys stay safe out there, be healthy, and have a wonderful day. Take care.